Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Sam, or Chaotic, and welcome back to another Grand Theft Auto 5 video here on my channel. Now in today's video, I'm going to be taking a look, as you guys can see from the title, at the top 5 best electric cars that we have in GTA 5. Of course, earlier today, Rockstar released the all-new Fiesta Neon in the game, which is an electric car, just one of 8 available in GTA Online. So I thought, why not compare this to the other 7 electric cars we have in game, and sort of determine which is the best electric car available in GTA Online. So alongside the Fiesta Neon, we have the Coil Voltic, as well as the Rocket Voltic. We also have the Hijack Chameleon, as well as the Coil Raiden and the Coil Cyclone. And alongside these, we also have the Dilettante and the Surge, but I'm not going to be including these in this video, as these are pretty basic and standard cars and aren't really worth talking about. So the main ones then are these 6 cars right here. So let's jump straight into things and start things off by discussing the vehicle prices. So the Fiesta Neon is now available in GTA Online from today for $1.5 million. As for the Coil Voltic, this has been available in-game ever since day 1 and is one of the cheapest cars available in the supercar category, costing just $150,000 on the Legendary Motorsports website. There's also a rocket-powered version of this car that was released with the import and export update back in 2016, but because this car isn't 100% electric, it obviously has the rocket-powered engine on the back, we're going to be avoiding this vehicle and not talking about it in this video. Then, as for the Hijack Chameleon, this vehicle has also been in the game since day 1, but initially was only available to players that bought the Collector's Edition of GTA 5. It was then made available to all players in the game and only cost $100,000, but isn't that popular. Then as for the next car, we have the Coil Raiden. This was released with the Doomsday Heist update back in December of last year, and in fairness is a pretty cool car as well, based upon the Tesla Model S, and this car only costs $1,375,000. And then finally, as for the Coil Cyclone, this was released towards the end of the Smuggler's Run update, and it's one of the more expensive ones in this lineup, costing $1,890,000. Anyway, now moving on to the customization of each of these vehicles, starting things off first of all with the Coil Voltic, and in fairness this car does have a decent list of customization options available for it. Nothing too crazy, there's not a huge list of customization, just a nice selection of things you can do. You can change out the front bumper, fit a different hood, fit a spoiler, fit some sills, and you've also got the option to either leave this as a topless car or fit a roof as well. I'm pretty sure when this car was first released back in 2013, that wasn't an option. You either had to purchase the topless version or the roof version of this car if you wanted to get either one, but that's now a customization option in the custom shop when you go to customize the car. Anyway, moving on to the next car, and the next one is the Hijack Chameleon. Now, unfortunately, this car doesn't have many customization options available for it. Of course, you have all the standard upgrades, such as the armor, brake, and engine upgrades, but as for unique upgrades, there aren't many of them. Weirdly, there is the option to change out the exhaust for a different set, which is kind of weird seeing that this doesn't have an engine, it's an electric motor, so I'm not really too sure why it has one of those. You do have the option to change the hood, but only for a different color, and from standard this car comes with a solar panel roof, but if you want to you can change that either for a painted or a carbon roof. I went for the painted one. And finally, the last visual customization you can apply is a spoiler. I went for the high level one. So there we go, that's it then for the customization of the Chameleon. Like I said, not very impressive, not really many customizations at all, and personally, it's one of those cars which back in 2013 looked pretty awesome and was kind of unique, but now with so many cars in game, isn't really that special in my opinion. Anyway, moving on to the Coil Raiden next, and again, unfortunately, this car doesn't have many customization options available for it either. It does have a few more though than the previous car, the Chameleon. You can do things such as fitting a front splitter, you've got the primary, secondary, and carbon versions of that, and you can also change the rear diffuser as well. I went for the race one. Apart from that, you can also change the hood as well, fitting either a stripe or going for a carbon hood. There's also an option to change the mirrors, but in this category, all you can pretty much do is change the color of them. Now, if you want to this car, you have the option to also fit some skirts, as well as fit a spoiler as well, to give it a slightly sportier look. But apart from that, that's pretty much it in the terms of visual customizations available for this car. And you guys will notice straight away with many of these electric cars, there isn't really much customization for them. Anyway, moving on to the Cyclone, and again, don't expect too much from this car in the terms of customizations. There are one or two things you can do to this, of course, alongside the standard upgrades. You can do things such as fitting a splitter to the front of the car. If you want to, there's also the option to fit a livery to this car as well, but to be honest, they aren't really that special, and you can also fit a spoiler as well. But apart from that, everything else is pretty much just standard upgrades. And then of course, finally, we have the new Fiesta Neon, which was released earlier today. Again, not really a crazy amount of customization options available for this, maybe more than most of the other electric cars that we now have available in-game. As you can see, quite a few splitter options that you can choose between. Supposedly there are a few rear diffuser options as well, but this pretty much just changes the color of the rear diffuser on the car already. If you want to, in the hoods category, it gives you the option to fit either a double or a single stripe on this car, which I didn't go for, as I'm not really a huge fan of that. You've also got the option as well to change the mirrors on this, and if you want to, you can fit rear view cameras, but unfortunately they aren't functional. There's no monitor or display inside the cabin which allows you to see what those are relaying, so personally they aren't worth fitting, nor do they look all that great. This car also has a few skirt options to choose between, and if you want to, you can also fit a spoiler as well. Personally, I'm not really a huge fan of any of the spoilers, but you kind of need one as it adds some additional traction and downforce. Personally, I wish this car had an air brake. If that was an option, I would definitely choose that and put it on this car, but unfortunately, that is not an option. Anyway, now moving on to the car's top speeds and their drag race times. So I'm going to compare all 5 cars doing the drag race at the airport from one side of the runway to the other. Starting off with the Coil Voltic first of all. This car has a top speed of 104 miles an hour, which isn't that high, but as I'm sure you guys know, the electric car's top speeds are all fairly low. But it manages to complete this drag race in 23.27 seconds, placing it in 4th place out of the 5 cars in this lineup. Moving on then to the second car, this being the Hijack Chameleon. This car is the slowest out of these 5. In fact, its top speed is just 100 miles an hour and very rarely reaches that. As you can see on the speedo in the bottom right hand corner, it stays around about 95 to 99 miles an hour and only just reaches that towards the end, getting to 100 miles an hour. But it completes this drag race in 24.29 seconds, almost a whole second slower than the Voltic. Anyway, moving on to car number 3, and up next we have the Coil Raiden. This car is much faster than the previous 2. In fact, it's in 3rd place, and it's a whole 2 seconds faster than the Voltic, and 3 seconds faster than the Chameleon, and completes this in just 21.21 seconds. Which may not sound all that fast, but trust me, there is a huge difference between these 3 cars, and its top speed is 112 miles an hour. Then, as for car number 4, up next we have the Coil Cyclone, and it's worth noting this car is in the supercar category, and is the fastest accelerating car from 0 to 60 in the game. In fact, it gets to its top speed of 113 miles an hour very early on in this drag race, and is the fastest out of all of these, achieving a time of 21.03 seconds. But it's only just ahead of the car in 2nd place, the new Fiesta Neon. In fact, it's only just faster by a few milliseconds. So the car in 2nd place is the new Fiesta Neon, the Rockstar released in GTA Online today. It completes this drag race in 21.11 seconds, which means it's just 8 milliseconds behind the Coil Cyclone in this drag race, which in fairness is pretty impressive, seeing that first of all it is a 4-door sports car, whereas the Coil Cyclone is a 2-door supercar. So there we go, the top 3 are pretty close, give or take a few milliseconds either side. But in the terms of the car's handling and performance, we'll start things off with the Coil Voltic again. Now in fairness, this car, despite not really being the fastest car in game, and unfortunately being placed in the supercar category, isn't really that bad of a car. In fact, in the terms of its handling, it's pretty good. It is a very fun, small and nimble car when it comes to driving around in the city, and in my opinion, for $150,000 makes this a very good car, certainly very underrated, and I would definitely recommend buying this if you guys are looking for a very cool, underrated and not very popular addition to your garage. Now despite being one of the cheapest high-end vehicles that we have in GTA Online, the Hijack Chameleon is a little disappointing, certainly in the terms of its performance and handling. I wouldn't recommend this thing whatsoever, despite only being $100,000, because this thing is extremely long, it doesn't really handle or perform all that well in free mode or in any race situation. As for the Raiden, in fairness, it's not too bad of a car, but it's all round very average. In the terms of its speed, its acceleration, its handling, its performance, even its price is slap bang in the middle of the average cost of a sports car in GTA Online. As for the handling on the Cyclone, it is pretty good. In fairness, the Cyclone is a very good car, both to drive around in free mode and on the track. The only thing that really lets the Cyclone down is its top speed, just 113 miles an hour. And the new Fiesta Neon is very much the same. It is a decent car all round. It may not be the fastest car in game with a top speed of just 114 miles an hour, but around the track it is very, very good because this thing accelerates well. It has all-wheel drive, so it corners and handles pretty well as well. But the lineup is this: the Chameleon in 5th place, followed by the Voltic in 4th, then the Raiden in 3rd, followed by the Fiesta Neon in 2nd, and then in 1st place we have the Coil Cyclone as the best electric car that you guys can buy in GTA Online. So there we go then guys, with that being said, that's pretty much it then for this video. Now of course I want to get your thoughts and feelings on these 5 cars. Do you guys agree with my lineup? If not, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know why and for what reasons. But if you guys could also drop a like on this video, it would of course be greatly appreciated and it helps me out a lot. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do, because I upload all the latest and the greatest Grand Theft Auto 5 content. So as always guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.